are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Report. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
We are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port. And today we have the Barnes and Michael show. Michael, how are you, my friend?
Let's go, dude. I'm doing great. How you doing?
Very well, very well. And it's crazy because it hasn't been that long, but it feels like it's been that long since we've done the Dave and Ty show.
Yes, it's true. And dude, look at the backdrop behind you. You have the Rangers hat and the Yankees Coke bottle. You look like a stud there.
I mean, that is literally what it's all about. And just what an exciting time of year. And I know I repeat myself with this, but we got the stretch run of baseball. Football's, we're in the full swing of things. Hockey's coming up, and we are gearing up for a Yankee playoff run. Me and Matt were just texting about it before. I mean, it's going to be such a good time. We're going to have so much content for you guys, regarding that, detailed breakdowns, and I just can't wait. And it's just nice too. We've all seen the struggles. Tony's highlighted them of me with his reels of what an up and down year it's been. But right now, I believe it is the pinnacle, and we are headed for great things. And I can't wait to get to that point. So we got a little bit of time here. Fortunate that we got the bye, and we'll talk about baseball in a little bit. But we do have a lot of football to talk about. So let's go to the world of the National Football League.
6 for 101, 2 touchdowns. To Evans, touchdown, Tampa Bay.
How about that throw?
Sam Darnold blasted. Oh my goodness, did he take a hit? In trouble once, brings him down. Lost one for Odell Beckham Jr. Got it down, touchdown.
All right. So we had week 4 of Thursday Night Football last night in Cincinnati, and it was a very big win for the Bengals as they get their second win in 5 days after an 0-2 start. So Joe Burrow stepping up and finally having time to throw. We've seen since Burrow's come into the league, he's just gotten sacked a lot. And last night he was only sacked once. Goes for 287 yards and 2 scores, and seals the game late with a touchdown to Hayden Hurst. And he found his receivers all game. His top targets in T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Higgins for the form of 7 receptions, 124 yards and a score. Jamar Chase, 4 receptions, 81 yards. The run game was a little, stagnant. Just couldn't get anywhere with that Miami defense. They did give Mixon 24 carries, but that only resulted in 61 yards. His longest carry of the night, 7 yards. And he did have a touchdown, but only 2.5 yards per carry. But obviously, the story about this game, everybody's seen it by now. They hit on Tua Tagovailoa in the second quarter, had to be taken off on a stretcher. And after the game, they claim it's just concussion. That's just what he was evaluated for, nothing extreme. But after seeing that video, it's hard to say that that's all it was. And supposedly, there's an ongoing investigation because you think about their last game before last night against the Bills, same thing. He goes back in the game. Obviously this one he had to go to the hospital, but he did fly back with the team. So, and a lot of people are outraged saying, it's ridiculous. They're so concerned about guys with their off the field stuff, but they don't want to protect their own guys on the field. I'm just curious, Michael, your thoughts here. Do you think that the NFL, there's some stuff that's not great going on here and they're being deceitful?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think the NFL is a little scummy with that, with a lot of things. But I honestly I was just looking up because in our intro, you hear our buddy Matthew they're trash.
Yeah.
Their whole organization's trash.
Right.
He's talking about the Miami Dolphins in an earlier episode from last year.
Right.
Because he worked for the organization back in like 2016. And Stephen M. Ross, who's the owner, who is still the owner, was the owner.
Right.
And I have a big feeling that he's a big part of it. I feel like it just comes from the top all the way down to Coach McDaniels. And ultimately, it's up to McDaniels too to pull trigger, I guess, as well. I just think, like you said, they're not looking out for their players as much on the field, and it's sad because you see Tua with that hit in Buffalo, he should not have come back in the game. He should not come back in the game. And hold on, folks, we're gonna just switch it. Boom, and bang. Oop, there we are. He should not come back in that game, folks. Sunday, and then you flash forward to Monday, and you're thinking to yourself, why is he even playing? He should still be. That's why you have Teddy Bridgewater. And worst case scenario happens, and he gets flung down. And I don't know if I could pull it up for you guys if you want. Viewer discretion. It's a little graphic. Post, I guess you could say, with it's just a little sad. With the hand thing he does because he's having a neurological reaction. But it's just sad, I don't like the NFL personally. I do enjoy watching it sometimes, but I'm not obsessed. I just think there's a lot of things they could work on in terms of that stuff. I mean, we're here now and talking about Tua potentially having a serious brain injury, and instead we should be talking about the game. But of course, the NFL just cares about money. Tua Tagovailoa. So yeah, okay, good. I guess the source that we're showing you, I mean, you could see his hands here. It's sad, and you send your prayers are out to him and his family and well wishes, but yeah, I don't know what you do in that sense. Now it's an investigation, so hopefully, when does that ever get resolved? Though I feel like no one ever gets in trouble, with all these teams.
Yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day, I mean, we've seen it time and time again. All about money and just revenue and how to increase that. And obviously, starting quarterbacks not playing, that's not helping them in that regard. But I mean, it is just ridiculous too, because you think about how I'm trying to think of the right word, but just how conscious all of these sports leagues are of how, their perception. So you would think like this is obviously football being the most viewed sport, that they wouldn't let this happen. And
I know.
I kind of think there's going to be some type of change from this point going forward, because it's like there's no room for error. They can't do this and expect no one to say anything.
I know, it's crazy. I wonder if something's going to happen big.
Yeah. And
what if something comes out that Stephen Ross said, he did have a concussion and he's like, no, put him in.
Yeah.
He's fine.
You
get paid?
I mean, it'll be interesting to see. But like I said, I mean, no room for error here. And I actually, back to like the game here. I mean, I actually thought Teddy looked pretty good. I know, he's been mediocre for years here, but he was 193 yards, a touchdown, and interception, QBR of 80. So he did his job. Obviously the one turnover hurt. So I do think obviously, Tua is better, but Bridgewater, doesn't, leave them slacking too much. So it'll just be interesting to see if they need to start him for a couple, games. Supposedly Tua is fine, but it's hard to see. And you have to wonder too with Tua, we've seen him have a lot of injuries, over the years, going back to Alabama. I believe it was a ruptured spleen that he had. And, it just seems like, last year he was injured a little bit. Obviously, there's already 2 injuries this year. And, maybe the offensive line needs to be improved, or maybe he needs to improve his decision making, just, to avoid taking such big hits, because clearly, it's a problem, for his body to hold up. So definitely something to keep an eye out for. But we'll see. And as far as the the Bengals here, I think they're in solid footing. And I expected this, even the 0-2 start was surprising, of course, but both games, when you think about it, they were there right to the final second, with the Steelers, with the Cowboys. So they're going to be just fine. And obviously they've set themselves behind the 8 ball a little bit with 2 losses, but they'll be able to maneuver through, that is for sure. So obviously, we do have a full slate of games coming up on Sunday. And it's one of the London Sundays, as we like to call them here, where, the first game, because of the time difference, will actually start at 9:30. That's the Viking Saints game. So really extends that viewing, window. There might be, let's call it 15 to 20 minutes in between the end of that London game and then the beginning of the 1 o'clock games. And then you think about the 8:20 game between the Chiefs and the Buccaneers, which they decided to keep at Raymond James Stadium. That'll be the final game of the night. And, by the time that's over, you'd imagine about 11:30 or so. So that really is over 12 hours of football. So we can't wait, for that. And before we do a frenzy, I just wanted to talk, about the Jets game here. So, this is a really big game for the Robert Saleh, the Zach Wilson era. And it's amazing, the market we live in. Obviously, Zach hasn't played one game this year.
It's all right.
But there's a lot of pressure. I mean, let's be real, and especially because the Giants have jumped out to that 2-1 start. And you look at a Steelers team here, they might go to Kenny Pickett at some point during the game. If he, if Trubisky doesn't do anything. And I'm just curious too, Michael, I know you're firm on Wilson, but do you have reservations about Saleh at all?
Yeah, of course, dude.
so like you think, like, I mean, if it was up to you, he's out.
Oh,
yeah,
dude, if I need to get him out, he's out. But
yeah,
the thing is, I hate how, like, why did we get another defensive minded head coach?
But the best part is defensive minded, but the defense doesn't even play well.
I know.
That's the worst. At least if the defense was stout,
I know.
They'd be like, all right, well, at least we're preventing teams from scoring. But he has not improved the defense at all. And I know some of that has to do with talent, but at the same time, I mean, we did just draft Sauce Gardner with the 4th overall pick. Quentin Williams is obviously a force. We have CJ Mosley, so that should be enough to work with. And the whole thing when he was in the Niners, great motivator, gets a lot out of guys that, aren't highly regarded.
Yeah.
And here we are. What has he done? I think they might be setting a record too for the most straight games allowing 21 points or more. I don't know what the exact number is, but if you go back to last season, they haven't, held any teams down. And I think this has to be the game. The Steelers have struggled to score, all season. And we know quarterback is a problem. Offensive line is a problem. I mean, we're
going to win, dude. I honestly have no doubt.
But if you had to say one side of the ball, who's winning it for us? Is it
Zach.
Our defense?
No, it's Zach. Zach's coming in. Yeah, exactly. That look you just gave me, that smile is going to be times 50 on Sunday when the Steelers, sorry, Renee, get shellacked by our Jets. Because their leader's back, their QB1's back. These guys came into training camp excited with him. Unfortunately, he got a little setback, a little hiccup, and we did get a win,
right,
with Joe Flacco. Can't even move, dude. Did you watch him?
Yeah.
So real quick, let's just go to Louis M. Shout out Louis M. It looks like have you ever heard of a Louis M?
No,
cool.
But welcome to the sports port.
Yeah, welcome. The Dolphins wanted to beat the Bills so bad they put him at risk 2 times, and on a short week they lied about the back injury. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's something going on there that's sketch. I'm gonna go to our boy Prefer. NFL is a rough sport. These half measures are a joke. If I was the league commissioner, I would lifetime ban all players with 2 concussions or allow players to play as hard as they want. Bodies through the grinder. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't know if you could ban them, but
yeah,
I would say 3 is what is the what do doctors say? You know how when you have, I've had a friend, I can't remember how many it is, but if you get too many, you can't play sports anymore.
Right.
Like, period.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there was somebody actually from Monroe.
So
same thing.
So if that's the case, that should be the rule.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
And maybe what could be going on here, and I'm sure they have their bases covered, but maybe the Dolphins, they have obviously on the sideline there has to be an independent neurologist at all times. Maybe there's something going on there where they're paying them off or something, but clearly the water is a little fishy in Miami, and I'm sure Matthew is smiling somewhere at the dysfunction.
Oh yeah.
But so I can't wait for Sunday. And I mean, we've talked about it too before we just get to the frenzy. I am so excited for Garrett Wilson, man. Complete stud.
Complete stud. Yes. He it almost feels like a Randy Moss-esque talent. Yeah. Like, I swear to God.
Yeah.
And he's cool. He seems cool. Jets posted a photo of and it was like us and Garrett realizing he didn't win Rookie of the Month, and it's just him like smiling and laughing at the camera. Yeah. Like, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like, it's all about the team. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And dude, that's the other thing. Like, it's tough to play defense, bro, when you're praying for the offense to do well.
Exactly.
Like with Joe, I'm saying these first couple weeks, it's not, there's no motivation, dude. No. It's hard. Yeah. Like, especially after that first couple battles back and forth, and it's like a field goal.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. You're 100% right.
So now Zach's gonna come in and dance and have fun, and these kids, the kids are gonna have fun. The veterans are going to be having fun. You're going to see a totally different Jets team.
And just the fact, too, I'm sure we could do this with Elijah Moore as well. But really with Wilson, I mean, we know the speed he has. I mean, just think about how long it's been since we've been a vertical passing team, constantly throwing the ball downfield. I mean, literally that 1 year with Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker, but those guys weren't even burning.
No, and I was even thinking
Santonio. He went downfield.
Yeah, he did, but he was short. He couldn't
Santana Moss.
They were shorter guys, couldn't get up. What was the Braylon Edwards?
Braylon Edwards.
But
it was an extended period of time, and it still was just a little short of what we wanted. So I can't wait to see that. And we'll talk about that game in a second, but I guess it's a good time, Michael, if you would, for the frenzy for Sunday, October 2nd, 2022.
Let's do it. I'm gonna go get you a new background too, right here. It's NFL. And I saw over here, Tony, real quick. I just love that.
I know it is a 6 sound.
Okay, so football friendly. We got a phone call from Orlando. Let me just see if this is
one call.
Yeah, give me a oh, and they hung up.
Guess not.
So anyway, let's go. So Sunday, our first game, dude. 9:30. Is this in
London?
London, eh?
Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Oh, all right. It's Minnesota versus New Orleans.
So Jameis Winston questionable for this game.
Who's their backup?
Their backup is Andy Dalton, and they have Taysom Hill, but I think they want to use him as a gadget player.
Yeah.
So with that, you don't feel great about that. Michael Thomas, Dennis Allen, the Saints head coach just said he's out, so that's a huge loss. And then, supposedly Winston dealing with a couple fractures in his back, even if he does play. So that, I mean, I know the Saints have a good defense, and, the running game could be good at times. Kamara hasn't really hit his stride yet. So I have to go with the Vikings here. And I think just offensively, the Saints can't compete with the Vikings offense. So I think, Cook, I could easily see, having 80 to 100 yards rushing, maybe a touchdown. And I could see Kirk through the air, throw for 275, 300 yards, maybe 3 touchdowns. He's got Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. So I'm going to say Vikings here. Let's say 28 and Saints 10.
Wow.
I just think they're going to struggle with backups in the game.
Okay. The next game at 1:00, Cleveland versus Atlanta.
All right. So obviously Cleveland's here, still with Jacoby Brissett. You look at the Falcons with that win over Seattle last week. But I just think, and I've always liked Mariota, but I think the Browns can just do their ground and pound, with Chubb, with Hunt, and you have Brissett do those high percentage throws, and kind of like the game plan they had against the Jets. I know they ended up losing. Obviously, there were some circumstances behind that, but that type of offensive game plan I think will work well here. So in a lower scoring game here, I know the total set at 47. I don't think we're hitting that. I think it's going to be Browns 21, Falcons 14.
All righty. The next game, Buffalo Bills versus this might be the game of the weekend.
Oh, 100%.
Buffalo Bills versus the Baltimore Ravens.
All right. So the Bills, obviously the heartbreak of that loss last week to Miami. You look at the Ravens, they've been rolling, after that disappointing loss to, Miami. They rebound last week against the Patriots. How do you stop Lamar Jackson? Especially at home. Buffalo 3-point favorites here. But I'm going to go with the Ravens, man. I just think Lamar Jackson, it's unbelievable. And I think even though he's already a league MVP, we've seen him ball out for years, I think he's still underappreciated. Everybody wants to talk about Mahomes and Herbert and, of course, Tom Brady. But I don't think he gets enough love.
You want to hear a great story about Lamar? You know how quarterbacks go talk to the quarterback coaches in the summer? Like I heard this the other day in a story. They go like 3 Tom Brady's of the world. They go 1 to 3 times in the summer to work with them. He goes 6+.
Wow. Yeah, he's dedicated.
He's a gym rat.
Yeah.
He just cares.
Yeah. So he's obviously betting on himself. He doesn't have an agent. He represents himself, and he needs a new contract next year. So
wow,
he's
legit.
There's some rumors about him going to the Dolphins, but the way this organization is, and the Giants possibly, but
that would be
you got to
tough.
stay away from Miami. I know, but he probably wants to go there. Well, Tyreek Hill's there.
No, that owner's horrible.
I know. He's got to go. But I'm sure the Ravens will do everything they can to keep him. But, this game total set at 51. And I do agree with that. I think it's going to be a high scoring game, but actually give me the Ravens here 42-28. And I think, maybe 21-21 at the half, and they pull away. Lamar Jackson, another game where he has 5 total touchdowns, which is just unbelievable. Probably rush for another 100 yards. He is a specimen. There's no 2 doubts about it.
All righty. The next game, the Washington Commanders. It's going to get, I got to do that a lot. Versus America's old team, the Cowboys.
Yeah, Carson Wentz, obviously a lot of hype after that first game, throwing 4 touchdown passes. He's only thrown 3 since. I believe it was last week he got sacked 9 times.
Real quick, I've never talked to you about this. How crazy is it with like him and Cars of the world? Like how quick quarterbacks can go from MVP to literally garbage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and all the hype surrounding him, and he was going to win that MVP before the injury when he won the Super Bowl. And I think part of it is a combination of think about last week, he gets sacked 9 times, so we saw towards the end in Philadelphia, he was getting sacked a lot. So I think he's beaten down physically, and part of him has to be beaten down mentally. I mean, you think about how the Colts faded down the stretch last year. Here he is in Washington, 1-2 start. I think it's going to be 1-3. I know Cooper Rush, obviously still a quarterback for the Cowboys here, but that defense is raring up. You saw DeMarcus Lawrence have 3 sacks last week. We know Micah Parsons is always coming at the quarterback. And I like the way the running game looked last week between Zeke Elliott and Uncle Tony Pollard here. I mean, I think, they've shown bursts in the running game. Cooper Rush has shown he can make the throws he needs to make, get the ball to CeeDee Lamb in space. So I want to say Dallas here. We're going to say 27, Commanders 10, as Jerry's grinning. 3-1 for the Cowboys and winning 3 games without Dak Prescott. Pretty impressive stuff here.
All right, the next game, we have Geno Smith's team versus the Detroit Lions.
I said this last week. I'll say it again. That was a fluky win on Monday Night Football Week 1 for Seattle. They are going to be one of the worst teams in the league. You can't compete with Geno Smith. And I know Jared Goff isn't going to win league MVP, but he was in the Super Bowl not too long ago. He was the number 1 overall pick. And I just think there's this positive energy coming out of Detroit this year. Dan Campbell, a lot of, us included, we're making fun of him last year. The whole coffee situation, crying after losses, all of that. But you think about what DeAndre Swift does in the running game. I know he's questionable, but Jamal Williams had 2 rushing touchdowns last week. And I just think, with Hawkinson, He can move the ball downfield, and I really like what I see out of this Detroit Lions team. So I want to say in this one, Seattle, I think will struggle to score. I think Detroit can step up on defense against a weak quarterback like Geno Smith. So give me the Lions here, 28, Seattle 7.
All right. In the next game, we have the Los Angeles Chargers versus the 0-2 Houston Texans.
All right. So, I mean, you look at this game, and obviously Herbert, yet another quarterback that's going through it right now in terms of injuries. He gutted through it last week, with those ribs, and they got blown out, of course, by Jacksonville. But he's going to keep playing. We know the talent that he is. I mean, you look at him career-wise since he came into the league, and he was, infamously drafted after Tua Tagovailoa, and obviously what a mistake that was. But in 35 career games, 76 touchdowns, only 27 interceptions, a rating of 98. And his completion percentage is at 66.2%. So he has everything you need, 7.2 yards per completion this season, 7.4 for his career. So he moves the ball downfield, and obviously he has the weapons to do it. When you think about what Austin Eckler, does out of the backfield on the receiving end, you have Mike Williams, you have Keenan Allen. So he has plenty of weapons. And I know Houston, so they've looked all right. Pierce, the rookie running back, has played well. But at the same time, they're 0-2-1. And I just think this Chargers team is hungry. They're ready to make the playoffs this year and to make a run. They have too much talent on this team to miss the playoffs again. They're 1-2. They need this win. And I think they actually throttle the Texans after getting embarrassed by Jacksonville last week. Give me the Chargers here, 38, Texans 14.
All right, next game, 1:00 game, Tennessee versus Indianapolis.
All right, so you look at Indianapolis, obviously very disappointing start this year, 1-1-1. But the Titans, you look at what they're dealing with, with the injuries and not having AJ Brown. So I think Jonathan Taylor finally gets going. We haven't seen that yet, so I'm going to say he'll have a $150 on the ground. The Colts, 28. Titans 10, Tannehill 3 picks.
Love it. Baby, we got the Chicago Bears, the Bears versus the G-Men.
Offense is being set back 40 years in this one. You think about Daniel Jones and Justin Fields, two of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL. But I got to go with the Giants here, and it's tough for me to say. I always like giving them shit, but I just think the Bears are a joke despite the 2-1 start. So I think the Giants can limit their throws and just ground and pound with Barkley. We're gonna say Giants 14, Bears 3, Barkley $125 in a score.
Wow. Okay, we got the Jaguars versus the Philadelphia Eagles.
So we just saw one undefeated team go down. We're going to see another. I love the Eagles. I love what they do. They have playmakers all over the field, but Jacksonville is real here. James Robinson with a great game. Trevor Lawrence, his best game of his career last week. Revenge spot for Doug Peterson going against the team that let him go. Jacksonville in a shootout, 45-35 over the Eagles.
Awesome. I love it. The next game is our New York Jets versus the Steelers.
All right, Michael, I'm trusting you on this one.
I love how the music changed for this.
Give me the New York Jets here. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. So let's say, total 41. I think we'll be even under that, 41.5. Give me the Jets here, 21-17. Zach Wilson's return. All 3 touchdowns, from Zach to Garrett Wilson, and I think he'll find Elijah Moore for 1 touchdown. The Jets 2-2 after their first 4 games.
Real quick, sorry, Chokery, that Jets are going to win, but good morning to you, bud. He said, good morning, guys. I just joined. I'm not sure if Brian talked about the Jets and my Steelers yet.
Yeah, Chokery. I mean, I think this might be a Kenny Pickett game by halftime. Michael, high expectations for Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
It's growing on me. We love Garrett Wilson, and the defense is doing a step up. 21 points. They've allowed in 15 straight games, 16 straight games. They're due. And Chokery, I know, he wants the rookie quarterback in there. He said it. He said it last week.
It's not going to be this week. It's going to be next week. And I like his quarterback too. I really do.
Oh, Kenny Pickett?
Oh, I love him.
Yeah,
he's cool. He's from Pitt. He's all Pitt. It's great. Next game we got the Cardinals versus the Carolina Panthers.
All right, so Baker's a joke. We've been talking about it. The Cardinals are ruling, though. Tony thinks Kingsbury will be fired by midseason, but I think they're better than the Panthers here. So I think Kyler finally has a good game and just steps up and shows he's a leader for once. Give me the Cardinals here, 24, Panthers 10. Maybe Baker benched at halftime. We'll see.
Oh, okay. Might bring Darnold in. All righty.
Blasted.
All right. The next game is the Patriots versus the Green Bay Packers.
All right. So obviously the Patriots here without Mac Jones dealing with that high ankle sprain. This line is set at 9.5. So expecting a blowout here, we will get a blowout. And there's nothing I enjoy more than a terrible Patriots team and embarrass Bill Belichick. That's what we're going to see.
Yes.
Packers 41.
Yes.
Patriots 3.
Heck yeah.
Rodgers 4 touchdowns.
Oh, easily. People are screaming MVP. Next game, we've got the biggest fraud in the NFL. Russell Wilson. I can't believe I even was thinking about having him come to the Jets versus the Las Vegas Raiders.
So this is a tough one, but you got to look at this. I mean, what the Broncos? Does everyone hate Russell already? Is that why they can't score?
Yeah.
I know the Raiders have been a train wreck here. McDaniels is really feeling it. But he's in a revenge spot going against his old team that fired him. I know it was like 11 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever the case may be. But the Raiders are going to win this one. I think they finally get humming on offense and defense. The Broncos struggle to score in the red zone like they have all season. So give me the Raiders here, 24-10. Russ still not cooking.
I just want to say Choker, he's such a good dude. He said, I will be cheering for the Jets this weekend, so hopefully we get to see Kenny Pickett in week 5.
I told you, that's what he wants.
That's
so,
awesome.
Chokery, the team player that he is.
Yes, I love it.
Really appreciate that.
I love it, Chokery. All right, and your boy, Tom Brady versus Patty Mahomes.
I mean, do I even need to? Everybody knows what I'm going to say here. I had the Bucs winning 4 games. They have 2 victories. We know what the Chiefs do. We know how banged up the Bucs are at receiver. And just the offensive line and just struggling to score. Brady, he keeps breaking tablets. And I know Choker's cracking up watching this because he knows how much I hate Tom Brady. And Giselle, all of that, the drama, the this, the that. Todd Bowles being their coach. We know what a disaster he is. So I think Brady gets embarrassed, and he always shakes hands after the game with guys that he thinks are in his league. But I think he's going to get so embarrassed in this one. He's going to get sacked 7 times, and the Chiefs beat the Bucs on Sunday Night Football 35-17. Brady breaks not 1, not 2, but 3 Microsoft Service tablets. Let's go.
I love it. All right, and then Monday Night Football.
Oh yeah, you know. We'll save it for Monday.
Okay, we'll save it for Monday. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, obviously full slate of games. Can't wait for it. It's just going to be a great weekend, and as we're wrapping up here, just one thing I just wanted to mention. Of course, Yankees already clinched here. So this weekend, it's all about Aaron Judge getting number 62. We're going to see a packed house tonight. Bleacher seats going for $500-$600, trying to catch that ball. And it's just a nice part where the Yankees are right now. We saw Chapman get in the game the other night. I think they'll work him in Britain, really just shore up their roster for the postseason. I can't wait. And I really think good things are ahead for this New York Yankees team. The Mets, of course, have their big series with the Braves. I know Tony's not going to like this one, but I'm predicting it now. I know this is crazy. The Mets up 1 game here. I think they're going to get swept in Atlanta, and they will show the frauds that they are. And it's going to be a great weekend if you think about the Patriots getting embarrassed, Brady losing, the
Jets
Mets
winning,
getting embarrassed, and the Jets winning. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Breaking the record.
Absolutely. So Judge, I think, will hit 3 homers over the weekend as that record keeps growing. And that, my friend, is what it is all about, Michael.
What a show. What a show. Everybody have a good weekend, and we'll see you
on Monday.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline.